Hi guys, welcome to my channel. The last thing you want to do after going through the headache of trying to apply for an international work permit is not to have your documents in order. And then this slows down your entire process and you're stuck and it's annoying and then you can't move. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about all the documents that you need to have ready and lined up so that your visa application process goes smoothly as possible. This is all based on my experiences of moving to Dubai and Paris and various different places. So I'm pretty sure you'll find it useful. The first thing is that you need to have originals of all of your educational documents ready and set aside for when the authorities need it. If you're anything like me, I had to go back to my sixth form and ask for the originals of my A-level certificates, and then I also had to go back to my university and ask for them to send me those documents, and I did this like 3 years after I left uni. It was so annoying because it took ages for them to get the original versions. In fact, I'm not even sure I got the originals. I think they had to redo the whole thing again, but clearly if it's issued by the university, it's an original, but not the version that I was given on my graduation day, if that makes any sense. So this is something that can cause you to have a little bit of a hold up if you don't have them already. Number 2, you need a full copy of your up-to-date CV. I've talked a few times in this whole Move Abroad series about how you need to have a CV that really reflects your personal brand, your strengths, and your experience. Because remember, if you're applying for a work permit, the authorities need to make sure that there was no one local that could fill this role that you're going for, and that too, you're distinctive enough to be offered this role instead of someone who lives locally. So you need to make sure that your CV is properly optimized. I've talked about this before and I'll leave reminders in the description box. Make sure you check them out. Number 3. Okay, this is kind of related to number 1, which is about your educational degrees, but this refers to certificates. So for example, if you're moving abroad to teach English, I don't really know too much about the whole teaching process, but I know that there are a number of courses that you need to take. And some of these, your certificates are given online, so you need to make sure that whichever country you're applying to, they're happy with the online version that you've been provided, or whether they actually want an original issued from the relevant course provider. So this is just something you need to bear in mind. Basically, anything that you put in your profile that you say you've done, any courses that you've done, any certificates that you have, aside from your undergraduate degree, you need to make sure that you have them to hand. Number 4, this is a bit obvious, but depending on where you're going, you may not need to worry about it because your employer will take care of it. And this is a copy of your employment offer. So the reason why I said some employers will deal with this is because in places like Dubai, they usually just liaise with the Ministry of Labour and they sort that out. So you don't necessarily need to have a copy of your employment offer from the company because they are dealing with it on their side. But in other countries, I think China, for example, you need to provide the relevant authorities with a statement from your employer saying that they will be hiring you. So just bear this in mind. Make sure you check with the relevant country whether this is something that they need. 5th thing that you need is your passport copy. You must not forget that your passport needs to have at least 6 months validity before you're even allowed to travel anywhere. But if you want to move to a different country, you need usually about 12 to 18 months. I think it's in your interest to make sure that you have an updated passport before you apply for anything. When I first moved to Dubai, I had to order a brand new passport page, and I just thought long term. I was like, I love to travel. I'm probably not heading back to London for a while, so give me the 50-page passport book. And it's just easier because a lot of these countries want your passport to be valid for at least like 12 months to a year. But in addition to that, you need to have at least 2 blank pages. And you don't want to have to be dealing with the logistics of ordering a new passport when you're in a different country. It takes time, and just make sure that you get it sorted before you actually apply to move. That's my tip. Number 6, criminal record checks, background checks. Some countries require these, some don't. Dubai, I think, has recently dropped it because before you needed a police clearance check and a few other things that were quite tricky to get and took a long process, even in your home country. So I think they've dropped that. But I'm pretty sure that many other countries require this. So this is something that you need to check, because if you have to deal with the police, it would take a few months. Doesn't mean that you've done anything. And of course, it can be quite scary to ask for a criminal record check because you don't know if there's like a warrant out for your arrest or something. But I just make sure that you have that lined up. Number 7, medical records. So Some countries will not allow you to move there if you haven't had a full medical record check. If you think about it, it makes sense. They don't want you coming over if you're prone to any diseases or anything like that. So this is again something that can take time to obtain, and in Dubai I think I had to get my medical records check done when I was here, but some countries want you to do it before you move over and also when you get there. So just look into that. The best place to find all this information is actually on the official embassy of the country that you want to move to. Next thing you need is the actual application form for your work permit. Usually this is where you will find all the information about stuff that you need to provide, but at the same time it has other things like the fees that you need to pay, the number of passport copies that you need to provide. So make sure that you have that lined up. You may need to get it from the embassy, because I know that some countries are a bit tricky where you go on their website and they don't actually have anything online and you have to go physically. I'm not going to name any names, but my country, for example. The other thing that you must not forget, and this is usually required by a lot of countries that I know of anyway, is your bank statements. You need to show that you have savings. Even if you're coming with a job offer, the point is that you need to be able to sustain yourself and that you won't be a liability. And it's also in your interest to make sure that you have enough savings. Someone asked me the other day on my Instagram that how much money do I think they need to have before they move to a country blind to look for a job. And number one, I don't think that's a good idea to go somewhere blind to look for a job, because unless you have strong savings, then it might be a very risky move. I personally wouldn't go anywhere to just discover and job hunt unless I had at least 3 to 6 months savings. And now the older I am, I definitely will be going for 6 months, because standards are higher, your living expenses are higher, and I don't know, the way you're used to living probably is a lot more than when you were in your early 20s. So I need 6 months. I will go into more details about this in my Sunshine Roadmap course. So make sure that you're signed up for that so that you can get proper analysis of how much money I think that you need before you move abroad without actually lining up a job. The last step, and like I said, this is something that people forget about all the time, is making sure that your documents are stamped and are certified by the relevant people. So depending on where you're looking to move to, some countries are fine with notarized original documents. Others will say that they want your documents attested by the embassy. Others will say they need apostilled. There's all these different terms that mean lots of different things, and you need to make sure that you have them ready. So even if you don't need them for your work permit, trust me, you can get to the country that you're moving to, and then you need to go to the court to sort something out, and they say, oh, well, we need a copy of your notarized educational degree. And you're like, what? So for me, one of the things that I did before coming here, Dubai loves all the certifications. Thankfully, my employer was able to help me sort all of that out, but it did take some time. I'll put some details in the description link below so that you can see what each of these terms mean: notarization, attestation, apostilled, and check whether the country you're moving to requires you to get any of those things done. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed this video or find anything useful, put your comments below. I've tried to make it as general as possible. Of course, there are some countries that you'll be moving to that will want you to provide even more documents, or probably less. So hopefully this will get you started in the background so that you're ready to apply for your work permit or your visa as fast as possible. Thanks for watching. Bye.